Appropriations Committee, Senator Murray.
Thank you very much, Chair Tester, and thank you to our witnesses for joining us today. Right now, we face a number of serious challenges across the globe. That's why Vice Chair Collins and I pushed through the gridlock to hammer out and pass a strong national security package that sent support to our allies, especially Ukraine, humanitarian aid to civilians, and a message to our allies and adversaries alike that America is still strong enough and united enough to lead the free world. We didn't just pass a bill, we passed a critical test on the world stage. And something I don't want anyone to forget, the bill the House eventually passed was essentially identical to the one the Senate passed 2 months earlier. However, the delay in inaction was not without cost. We and our allies lost precious time and resources during those 2 months that we can't recover. This is similar to the costs we face each time we flirt with a government shutdown or put the government on autopilot under continuing resolutions. Those situations come with costs, and notably, neither China nor Russia face the threat of a government shutdown or a CR. I'm certain all of us agree that democracies are stronger than dictatorships, but we have got to prove it, and that will take bipartisanship. Because as we all know, our work is not done. We must maintain America's leadership and make smart investments to help reduce global conflict and instability, which of course keeps our country safe. That means ensuring our military remains the best in the world, supporting the men and women in uniform who sacrifice greatly to keep our country safe, having our allies' backs, and taking an all-of-a-government approach to keep our country strong and secure. We are working with tight fiscal constraints, but Secretary Austin, it is so important we make sure not only that your department has the resources needed to execute our national defense strategy, but that your counterparts across government also have the resources they need to keep our country safe. The 1% increase in funding provided for FY25 under the caps is as inadequate for non-defense spending as it is for the Department of Defense. Having just worked together to write and pass 12 bipartisan bills for FY24, we all know this very clearly. So as members talk about how we might increase investments to better meet our defense needs, we cannot ignore our needs here at home as well. When it comes to additional resources above the caps, which the Vice Chair and others have mentioned, I'm going to insist on parity for non-defense spending to make sure we are providing for our children and families, keeping them safe. After all, our safety also depends on our diplomatic corps, which works around the clock to prevent and end conflict. Our counterterrorism efforts and the law enforcement personnel working to identify and disrupt threats, our public health system and pandemic response efforts, the officials enforcing our sanctions to help choke off financial resources for dictators like Putin, our work countering the influence of the Chinese Communist Party, ensuring we remain on the cutting edge of research and manufacturing, and so much more. So with that in mind, Secretary Austin, can you talk about your work with your counterparts across government, whether that's at state or commerce or so many other agencies, and how their efforts assist the work you do to keep our country safe and factor into our national defense strategy?
You've heard a number of secretaries say before, Chair Murray, that if we don't fund state and others to the right level, then we're going to need more bullets, because they do great and important work to move things towards greater stability and security in all regions of the world. And so it's this whole of government effort, this interaction between departments in support of our overall goals and objectives that really is what causes us to be effective. So it's important that they do get supported.
Thank you. And as the chair of our committee knows, that includes our veterans and the challenges that they're having right now with the VA budget. Mr. Secretary, on the $60 billion that Congress appropriated to support Ukraine in its fight against Putin, a package this committee worked on for months, as this war continues now into its third year, how is this funding being used? What improvements are we seeing on the front line?
Well, it's still very early on. As you know, it does take time to get some of this capability in, but we in anticipation of the potential of getting the supplemental approved, we forward positioned some things, some critical things like air defense interceptors and artillery munitions, so that if it were approved, we would be able to rapidly move those things in support of Ukraine, and we are doing that. You know, I talk to my counterpart in Ukraine every week. I just talked to him yesterday, as a matter of fact, and checking on how that's going, what his most critical needs are, I think, again, this is going to be very, very helpful. But to your point, it's hard to buy back time, but given that, I think that without this help, Ukraine would have a very tough time defending against what is a superior force with the Russians.
And is our inventory here at home being replenished?
It will this supplemental will certainly help in a major way in that regard. I want to make sure that we do have the ability to replenish our stocks. And as we have drawn down some of our stocks and provided weapons and vehicles to Ukraine, we'll replace those weapons with newer models, and all of that work flows through our industrial base, and it'll affect some 30 different states in the country. And that creates good jobs, good paying jobs for Americans, and we remain excited about that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator